There's an update in the whole Bud Light disaster today, which is just, I think, spectacular. So, of course, their stock price fell in the wake of the boycott after they partnered with trans activist or trans person Dylan Mulvaney. And their core audience and core, purchasers revolted across America saying, what are you doing? We don't want you dabbling in this stuff. Just serve us our beer. For the love of God, shut up and serve us the beer. And they tried to be quiet. It failed. Their stock price was dwindling and their sales were dwindling. Then their stock price went a little back up, and the people who are against you on the woke stuff, Vivek, said, oh, it went back up, ha, ha, ha. But the real question was, how about the sales? How about the sales? The stock's going to do what the stock's going to do. Well, how are they doing on the sales of Bud Light? Well, now we have an answer to that. And by the way, they saw these numbers before we did, the people at Bud Light. The reading from the New York Post today, Bud Light has suffered a staggering sales hit following its disastrous marketing tie-up with transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney. The latest data showing a 17% drop in sales. 17. It only went down, I think, 8% or 6% in the first week after the controversy. And now it's up almost triple that, the drop in sales, and probably going to go up even more. They've now put the woman who made the decision, we're told, Alyssa, on leave of absence, though it was clearly not her idea, and I don't think she's ever coming back, as well as her boss, also on a leave of absence. And I think this is a huge victory. I'd like to see them fired. I think they're fired. So I'm taking the W. However, I think this is an inflection point in the battle that you've been fighting, and yours truly as well to a lesser extent, to get these corporations to stay in their lane and just do their thing. Mm-hmm. Sell your beer, sell your facial cream, but stop trying to wokeify America.
That's what makes America great, is that we have a system of capitalism that is insulated, or at least historically has been, from partisan politics. First of all, that makes companies more successful. Bud Light's just one example among many. Megyn, that's what the whole book is about. The Capitalist Punishment book that's out today, that is about why companies are more successful when they are not encumbered by these environmental and social agendas. But there's something even more fundamental than that, Megyn, which is that actually Alexis de Tocqueville, he made this observation about America. We're a diverse, divided democratic society. We're not supposed to last for more than a couple of generations unless there are these apolitical spaces that bind us together, that literally bring us together. Bud Light is liquid fuel that brings people together at football games, at parties across the country. It's uniting. When that itself becomes politicized, that's really the beginning of the end of the American experiment if we lose those apolitical sanctuaries that are supposed to hold us together. And Tocqueville said that back then too, is America requires what he calls these intermediate institutions. Capitalism is the biggest of those. And so for me, on a personal level, it's not just because I think it makes companies less successful, though that's definitely true. And we see that example on display here. It's that it makes America and our constitutional republic itself less successful. It won't survive if we don't have those spaces where we can come together across the divides of identity politics or partisan politics. I'm with you, Megyn. I think that we are at a potential turning point here. I think people, the woke movement, what it did is, the analogy I sometimes have used is, it's like when young people are hungry for a cause. They tell them you satisfy your moral hunger by going to Ben and Jerry's and ordering a cup of ice cream with some social justice sprinkles on the side. I mean, effectively, that's been the culture for the last several years. I think that you don't satisfy a moral hunger with fast food. You sort of get that hit initially, but then that starts to fade away, and you still realize you're still hungry for something more substantial, purpose that you derive from something other than corporate virtue signaling. And that's the opportunity in front of us for the conservative movement. Can we fill that void with a vision of American identity that's actually more powerful, that dilutes the woke agenda to irrelevance? That's a question of whether the conservative movement can rise to that occasion or not. That's why I'm in this presidential race.
Actually. The way it used to be in this country.
The way it can be. And the way it can be, I think.
How? That's the problem. Like, I'm with you, 100% with you. But how on earth are we going to get these young people to get back to that? I mean, teaching civics. What, we're going to force them to go back to church? That's up to their parents. The Americans are moving away from religion, away from more children, away from civics. It's depressing. But how can a president push us back in that direction?
Look, I think part of this is, and there are many hats to wear here. One is a policymaking hat, and I can come to that. But some of this is through the kind of leadership and national character that you set. I don't think we have had a president in this country since Reagan who tied the what we're doing, the motions we're going through, to the why, to the principles that actually set the country into motion. And I reject this political worldview that both parties seem to espouse, that human beings are somehow just these biological automatons walking around and we're supposed to bean count them to see how they'll vote. I believe in the power of persuasion. I think people are, especially young people, Megyn, are hungry to be led. I went to, we've done these bus tours for the last few days. I was in New Hampshire on a bus tour. I was in Iowa on a bus tour. South Carolina is a bus tour later this week. We stop at college campuses on these bus tours. I went to one, New England College in New Hampshire, where I was told that other Republican candidates didn't want to show up at some of these college campuses. Well, you want to know why? It's because they're going to get the kinds of questions that I got, which aren't that different than an interaction with Don Lemon on set. But the thing about, unlike Don Lemon, who's was making millions of dollars while claiming to be a victim, the difference with young people on these college campuses, they don't really believe the stuff they're fed and spewing back. They're hungry. They're lost. And I think if we can fill that void with even a sense of leadership, talking about understanding that our worst hypocrisies as a nation are actually our best evidence that we have ideals at all, because to be a hypocrite, you at least had to have those ideals. I think we bring these people along, Megyn, because here's the other thing about being 21 years old or 19 years old. You want to stick it to the man. You want to stand up to the system and be a hippie and be countercultural. That's what made the woke movement popular in the first place, is that was sticking it to the system of the people who were in power. Well, now we've come full circle where what began as a challenge to the system has become the system. I think we can actually tap into young people's desire to be heterodox. You don't want to be heterodox? Call yourself a religious conservative on a college campus. See what that does to you. And I think it takes a certain voice, and I think it takes us, I'm 37, I'm the first millennial to ever run for president as a Republican, but I want to use these attributes to reach that next generation. I'm actually optimistic that that opportunity is sitting in front of us just through persuasion alone. On policy, I could give you a lot of my ideas on how to do it, but actually, I think this other cultural character is almost more important, and then the policies just follow naturally from that.
Going to bed at a decent hour did not always mean I got enough sleep. Often I was too hot or too cold or just not that comfortable. That changed with my Cozy Earth bedding, the softest, most luxurious, and responsibly sourced bedding on the planet. Cozy Earth bedding is naturally temperature regulating, so I sleep great in any weather. And I am not alone. Allison leaves this 5-star review. Love them. Softest, most comfortable sheets I've ever slept on. Cozy Earth bedding is made from 100% premium viscose from bamboo. Cozy Earth is so confident you will love their products, they offer a 100-night sleep trial, which means you have up to 100 nights to sleep on it, wash it, try it out. If you're not completely in love, just send it back in for a full refund. Whether it's their luxury sheets, their loungewear, their pajamas, or their new bath towel collection, you're going to love shopping at Cozy Earth. And now you can order their bedding in 5 awesome colors. Hurry, save 35% on Cozy Earth. Go to CozyEarth.com, enter my promo code Megyn, and save that 35%. CozyEarth.com, promo code MEGYN. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.